You are now tuned to BS3 Network. BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV. You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
Welcome to another episode of the Fourcast. I am your host, King Dawk. We got a little bit of different crew in here today, filling in for some of our regulars. Hang on one second. I can't do my boy like this. I gotta have him on top billing with the king. You know, we can't have the guest take over. And since Chief Rocka was late, I'm gonna make him in last position over there. What's up, Chief? You can't hear us on guest. What's up, Chief? Look at him, just lost, man. Can you hear? All right, we gonna wait till he gets some audio.
I fucked up. I'm sitting here and my mic is mute, but I didn't look up top to see y'all. I'm just thinking I'm the only motherfucker up in it. You know?
Nah, we good. So
oh shit.
We're gonna do some introductions. We're gonna go to A-Trap. Today we're reviewing OG. You can see it on HBO Max if you haven't already. This is a little older film than we typically review. It actually came out in 2018, I believe.
Right.
And again, we have on our special guest host today, Vernon, Chief Rocka, Riggs, and Eric Butler.
Bro, time out. I ain't mean to interrupt you. Right, we're gonna do this thing right now. It ain't the way you saying it, right? You see my name right here, ain't it down there right there?
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I can't see it. Hold on. Let me remove the banner so I can see it. Chief Rocka, Jersey, Vernon. Okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
If you'd have got in on time, you could have been able to get your read on time.
No, it said, I mean, you know the problem I just went through. I would have been here at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? I would have been, because early bird gets the worm.
Right.
But, I mean, I couldn't get I can't get it on that. I mean, if I was on my desktop, I'd be able to do that, but desktop in the shop. Now you're a Libra brother, man. Why you doing me like that, man?
Nah, that's all right.
And matter of fact, happy late Barnes Day. I hit you up the other day, but
thank you, sir.
I want to say it face to face. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it. All right. So again, this is OG coming on HBO Max. Again, it's got Jeffrey Wright on there, and many of you know Jeffrey Wright from a lot of different projects. I think he's actually a very underrated actor. So we'll dive into what we think about him and his portrayal in this particular movie. Again, it's OG, HBO Max. There is a shot of it we'll put up a little later. So let's get some introductions done. We'll start with our regular. Again, we got Chief Rocka, Jersey, Vernon, and the intellect, Eric Butler Sr. of the Perspective on BS3 Network. They are filling in for Wilkes and Ben BS3 himself. A-Trap, what's up with it, man?
I'm good, man. You know me, man. Everything is the same. Nothing changes.
Yes, sir. And Eric, what's up with it, homeboy? Talk to the folks.
What's going on, good people? What's going on?
Tell them about Perspective and, whatnot, where they can reach at and that kind of thing.
Oh, excellent. Perspective, the podcast, every Thursday at 8:30. We really like to say, I think it's right in our name. It's a safe place, I would say. Safe place to come and share your point of view. The more point of views you have, I think the better it makes for a community. Different points of views, different streams of thought, different lived experiences. And when you can share those in a collective place that's safe, so you won't be ridiculed, you won't be attacked, just share your story. then I think we all get better at the end. So Thursdays at 8:30, we'd love to see you.
Right on, right on, right on. And again, Chief Rocka, Jersey Vern, tell the folks where they can peruse your fine work at, sir.
Well, I'm on Built for This Network. I'm part owner with A-Trap and DJ Knox. I come on 10 to 1 on Mondays, man. I do a recap and entertainment show. You know, the reason I say entertainment within the recap is recapping sports, news, current event, reality, you know, I mean, whatever you want to talk about, you can call in. You know, that's the best part of it when people call in, you know, because I do 3 hours. I do 3 hours. I've been doing 3 hours. What's this going on my 8th year now, A-Trap? 3 hours, man, you know.
No doubt.
And the 3 hours go by so fast, I'll be like, man, I should do another hour, but, you know, I got things to do, you know.
Right.
Also on Thursday night, me, Big Illinois, 73, Raider Kev, we do a football pick selection show, right? Where we have people call up and they can give their picks. You know, us three, we do our picks. We do the picks from the week before. And like I said, man, it's all fun because when you call in, you can dispute us and we can, you know, sit you down. I keep forgetting Ben ain't here. You know what I'm saying? I had to hold myself from cussing, you know what I'm saying? Because my show is unfiltered, man, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I may say everything and, you know, I don't even realize it. I just say it, man. You know, I'm a Navy man, sailor. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's all about. And Wednesday, I'll be 62 years old. I got my retirement papers in with the Social Security. So, you know, I'm straight, man. I'm about to try to enjoy life, man. I thought I can come to Chicago now without having to worry about rushing back. I can come to Dallas now, so I can mess with them cowgirls, you know, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, so we're going to get into, so again, for those of you who don't know, OG, the plot on this is basically you have this inmate that is in the final weeks. His name is Louis Minkins. In the final weeks of his 24-year prison sentence, though he does not talk about it, Louis's nervousness about adapting to life on the outside is affecting every decision he makes. Chief among those is his choice to befriend a new prisoner named Tracy Beecher, who is facing 23 years for murder. Louis warns Tracy to stay away from gang life, but it soon becomes clear that such a feat is easier said than done. So let's start with A-Trap. A-Trap, what are your initial thoughts on this cinematic piece?
Well, as I started watching this, I watched it when it first came out because Jeffrey Wright was one of my favorite actors. And I totally agree with you when you said he was one of the most overrated people in Hollywood.
Oh, overrated or underrated?
Underrated, excuse me.
Okay.
Underrated people in Hollywood. Well, my initial thoughts was, I actually did research before I looked at it, was this is well done. They made him out of, and then, you know, looking at the situation, I'll make one correction. He had a 70-year sentence and it was reduced to 30. He was doing 24. He did 24. But I was thinking, this person, the lady who did this, it's a white woman who did this, when she comes from a movie making family, she did an excellent job. She humanized him. And then she told his story. She allowed the story to unfold in front of us. So I really appreciated that. And because growing up in a inner city area, I've had conversation and I have friends and family members who've experienced what he was going through. And they said it was that relatively accurate. So I really appreciate it.
Okay, cool. Eric, what's your initial thoughts on this?
I think I was biased because same as H-Rap, I know individuals who have spent extensive time in those type of facilities. So it was really, it was interesting to see some of the things come alive and seeing it. So it was really interesting to me, the fact that, you know, the location, Indiana, it's not a mindset or a place where you would think about, you know, it's not mentioned as much. So it was interesting. And they really let that come through in the characters. The fact that there were real inmates. I heard something about that, and you know, after I watched it, and I was like, makes a lot of sense. So that gave some real validity to it. I thought it was a little slow every now and again, I like pieces to fall into place. So they would kind of tiptoe into a storyline or give us some introduction to, outside characters like the daughter or whatnot. But I really would have liked to see that flesh out just a little bit more. But overall, I liked it because it was really realistic it gave you a peek into issues that they have, things that you would normally think about. Because think about it. If you was getting out, everybody think it's just a joyous occasion. You're ready to hit the road. You don't have any concerns anywhere, but you just want to be free. And I think this gave a true picture that that's not the case. Right. And then there's a whole different life. You got to see there's different rules to the game. There's different societal norms that have to go on in ways and things that happen. So I thought it was well done. It delved into relationships with the prisoners and the correctional officers, different things that they would do. And it really held true to it. So I enjoyed that. Right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll dig into the transition of after being incarcerated or institutionalized is what I like to say, and coming back into society. We're going to dig into that a little later as well. Chief, what are your initial thoughts on this one, sir? And then we'll get to some comments.
Well, I look at it like this, man. Prison ain't the best place for anybody, because it reminds me of when they took Mike Tyson up in there back in the days when I don't know if he did it or not, but I'm gonna be on Mike's side. He didn't rape the girl, but it reminds me of when he went in there. And I mean, jail alone is just like out here, but you're locked up. And with no girls, the only girls you'll see is the correction officers. You know what I'm saying? So it just reminds me of out here, because they still getting high, they selling. I mean, men doing men. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and they just hang around. They go out to the yard, they hang out, they socialize, lift weights. They look and see who they gonna set up tonight. So to me, I mean, I don't mind watching them type pictures, but it kind of like make me irritated, because I mean, it shouldn't really have to be like that. But being that we in the world we in today, that's what happened, man. But the picture pretty good, man. But I don't like to get into that too tough, man. I used to, man, because all you seeing is jail. You know what I'm saying? When I see a picture, I want to see a little bit of everything, but all you see is jail.
I got you. I started whenever we figured out this movie was about being on the inside. I started to get Big Illinois since he had the experience, and I figured he could give us a real good insight, but I thought about it at the last minute. All right, so some of these comments, we got Charlotte in the building, the best voice on Built for This Network. She says, good evening, everyone. Then we got DJ Mad Knox in the building. He said, what up, fellas? Then we got the Blue Streak Freak Theodora Harper in the building. She goes, good evening, Fourcast and special guests. We got Keisha Walker in the building. Say, good evening, fellas. Just Joe in the building. Say, fellas, what's up? We got Pastor Dodd. Say, good evening, brothers. Let's see. CJ Boy said, A-Trap in the MF studio. Let's see. Just Joe, some more stuff. Pastor. Good evening, chat room. We got somebody we ain't seen in a while. Rocka Park been absent. Now she back in the building. What's up, Rocka Park? We got Big Illinois in the chat room. He goes, fellas, what's up? CJ said that prison and jail life ain't no joke. And for somebody that's been on the outside of the U.S., it's funny how prisons in Europe are more like rehab facilities.
Yeah.
Decent point. Okay, so as Eric touched on a little earlier, this particular film was filmed entirely in Pendleton Correctional Facility, which is a maximum security prison in Indiana. And many of the prison's inmates and guards were used as actors and extras. Inmates were selected based on behavior. Those with disciplinary actions against them were not eligible. I want to know what y'all think about that. Eric, start with you. What do you think about the fact that they actually used prisoners and inmates and correctional guards in this particular film? What are your thoughts on that?
It actually raises my grade on the overall film. because you think about it, they don't have any acting chops. You know, this is something that's new and foreign to them, and they had to carry it a little bit. So seeing how people move, the rhetoric, the conversation, they did a really excellent job of participating and adding to the film. And I now, if I went back, I'd be like, "Yep, that's an inmate. That's an inmate," and you'll be able to tell the difference. Because I actually thought that maybe gave him a little bit too much credit, because I'm like, "Oh, that's an actor," but he really, like, you know, this is he nervous, or this is a bad situation. So I think that's a great aspect to it. I think it gave it it definitely provided a nuance to the movie.
Definitely. Chief Rocka, what do you think about that? The fact that they use actual inmates and correctional officers in the filming.
I mean, that makes the movie. That makes the movie realistic. You know, actors, they may not really know how to act that part of being an everyday prisoner. You get a guard, you know, I mean, he really don't know what the guard go through, you know. So if you got the actual people, they're not really playing a role. They're showing you the role, you know.
Right.
So that was good, man. I like that.
Right on. H-Rap, what are your thoughts, sir?
I think it's atypical of prison movies. You can go back to 1979, Stir Crazy with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. Richard Pryor actually did a sketch in one of his comedy shows saying that he used to sit down and talk to people in the prison. They were prisoners while they were doing that movie Stir Crazy. So it's par for the course. It's to be expected. And as you guys stated, it makes it more authentic, more realistic. And it really don't take a whole lot to act like, you know, like I always joke when we talk about people who can't act, and I always say he can't play dead in the cowboy movie. Clearly, people can play a prisoner in a prison movie. So it's cool.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
It also presents hope because, as you stated, the roles were chosen. You know, the people were chosen in regards to their behavior. It shows you if you participate in life in a certain way, you get certain benefits. So hopefully it helps them turn the corner in reducing recidivism.
Right. Yeah. And for me, like one of the characters, see, I didn't figure this out until probably halfway through the movie or whatever, you know, because I'm taking notes throughout the deal and I'm Googling certain things and all this kind of stuff. So I really didn't realize that until about halfway through. And to figure out that actually the guy who played the guy who played Beecher, which was one of the main characters that you would see with Jeffrey Wright as the new guy coming in, you know, who was facing the murder charge that he was trying to kind of keep on the straight and narrow, the one that had the good jump shot, right? This particular dude was one of those prisoners. And for him to have such a major part, you know, see, I didn't realize that, like you mentioned, Stir Crazy and whatnot, using prisoners and stuff like that. But I dare say that there's not been very many films that use somebody like prisoners or guards that had this big of a role, because this was a huge role, you know. And so I'm going to show a clip right now of Beecher actually, whenever, you know, Theodis Carter's his real name, of when they were actually doing some like screen tests and stuff like that. And you can even see what actually came out on film is actually even better than he was here. So this kind of gives you some idea of what it was when he was first starting.
Okay. What's the problem, Louis? You sent a kid after me talking about paying Terry rent?
No, that was Spider, that wasn't Terry.
No, it's fucking disrespectful.
You got a situation here or something?
I don't care. You don't demand shit from me.
Listen, man, let me make you understand something. This ain't what you want.
You know what? Fuck you.
Is this how you want it?
How it's gonna be is if you need something, you come and you ask me. But you never send a fucking boay at me and talking about 10 weeks.
We gotta be cool about this situation. Let's be fluid, man.
Try again.
Listen, man. Cherry respects you, Louis. You be telling everybody about you. You got good things to say about you to everybody.
Then why is he coming after me?
Because it's time to go. You have to pick a side.
I don't know. I don't give a fuck about all that.
You better start giving a fuck. You better start giving a fuck because it's about to go down, and it's gonna be them or us. So you gonna have to choose. Now, if you're still tripping about that little situation, man, where you could have got a little piece of the action, man.
It ain't about that.
Well, if it ain't about that, then shut the fuck up. Put your chips
He's
in.
not an associate, Mason. He's not an associate. You got to hear more about that last week.
Listen, man, he wasn't no associate. We were just trying him out for the first
come on,
time.
man. That's even worse.
That's why I'm letting you know right now it was a mistake to do it in the first place.
Terry out to fuck with me. It's Terry out to fuck with me.
Either way, I'm sorry, man. I ain't running nothing. If I would have been running something, it wouldn't have went this way. But since I ain't, it did. So now you're gonna have to deal. We can't be having you old motherfuckers running around here tripping about y'all dignity, man.
What's how you talk to him, man?
Fuck you talking to? We talk how we want to.
Good. That's good.
Interesting, isn't it? So again, that took place in the prison where, of course, producers and, people who were working for the film, the production companies or whatnot, they actually went to the institution. And as they seen prisoners kind of interacting with each other and moving day to day, they picked those that they thought that had some character. And of course, behavior was an issue as well. So I watched a couple of other videos with this guy and read a couple of articles telling about his story and the fact that he, H-Rap mentioned the word that was significant for him, and that's hope, and for him to say, he said that, look, it was a situation to where I'm in prison and on HBO at the same time, and he says, and so as far as I'm concerned, that sends a message, out to people that no matter how dire it looks, and that's when he talked about a state of mind. He goes, my body is in here, but my mind isn't locked up. My body is captive, but my mind isn't captive. Any thoughts on that performance, that little video there from either of you guys?
You can go, Eric, if you like.
No, I think it was standard what you would think on he's screening, but I like the fact that he didn't have to look down at the page and he kind of got into it a little bit, and also that he just kind of flowed through it even when he kind of stumbled.
Yeah.
You could tell he just kind of went back and relied on what he would do or what he knew in normal circumstances. So I could see why they saw something in him.
And what I like, you mentioned he acted better in the movie than he even did in the practice. Mm-hmm. I believe he acted better in the practice because the dude who Fumi, that's his name. He played the role of Dre in Power. He was Ghost's underling turned. He was a crooked dude turned Ghost's underling. And then he got crooked at the end again. He never wanted to be an actor. He was a music major up at Northwestern. He's a performer, and he says that the guy who plays Ghost, I can't think of his name right now. It don't make a difference. Dude who played, it'll come to me in a second. He says he made him up his level, and I believe that's why he did better on screen than he did in practice. Because for one, I believe they allowed him to improvise a lot. And when you're improvising a lot, you're allowed to put your own words and not just the words on the paper. Because sometimes your verbiage is better than what the person who assumed what you would write is.
Right.
And
he actually mentioned that in one of his articles, to where that he complimented the directors and producers because he said they allowed them to do that, because he was like, hey, because he was having some trouble during some shooting on certain things. He goes, well, one of the reasons I'm having a problem with this because we wouldn't say this, and they allowed him to change it. So
Amari Hardwick, that's his name.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
And he says he became a better actor after acting with Amari and after acting with Forrest Whitaker. So do it in practice is one thing. Jeffrey Wright, you got that cultural connection. Jeffrey Wright also knows these words on the paper are not truly authentic, and I'm going to put our spin on them. So when he put our spin on it, I'm sure the dude who's the inmate goes, okay, he relaxes, and now they having a conversation versus acting. Right. That's why he does better on the screen, because you got this world-class actor, and you relaxed and will allow to be yourself instead of, and then I will say this to Doc, and then I will say this to Eric. It's just, yo, Doc, blah, 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 and we pop it. And that's why I believe it looks better. And that's why I believe the whole situation worked.
Right. All right, Chief, did you see the video there? What are your thoughts on the little screen test that they were giving him, audition, so to speak? What do you think about that?
I liked it. I mean, my man, he played just like an inmate, man. Even though he is inmate, he did a good job, man. I like that. You know, it kind of like, you know what? It seemed like, and you know, I couldn't hear y'all before. That's why I blinked out, because it was some noise, noise going on. I don't know what it was. So I said, let me reboot and come back in. But it seemed like the white guy in real life, you know, he like if it was a white dude that ain't used to that type of atmosphere, and he's in there doing that, he'd been scared, motherfucker, man, because he was like he about to shit in his pants.
Yeah, his reaction was funny to some of it. Let's see. All right, we got Golden Brooks in the building. She goes, "Hey guys," and CJ said, "I agree with Mike Tyson." I guess he's saying they ain't do it, is what he's trying to say. Because I remember when I did some stupid shit in Germany, I got locked up, and when I tell you that prison looks like a damn 3-star hotel, I could not believe that in Europe they care about rehabbing versus in U.S. that prison life desensitize you to the outside if you make it out. We got Raider Kev in the building. He goes, "What up, fam? What up, Raider Kev?" And we got Mandelion Live. He says, "What up, fellas? I like that little logo, man. That's pretty tight there." Let's see. All right, I think that's all our people in the building. So again, OG is not based on a true story. However, it did inspire the creation of another film that HBO did called "It's a Hard Truth, Ain't It?" And that particular film actually aired just a few days after the premiere of OG. It was also filmed at the same correctional facility, Pendleton in Indiana, and it actually follows 13 prisoners studying filmmaking by acting in OG. So I think that was pretty cool that because they acted in OG, they started studying filmmaking, and they actually did a documentary about it. Chief, had you heard that? What do you think about that? The fact that after this film, they actually took it a step further and started studying acting, so maybe they can do something when they get out.
Well, that's great, man. I mean, anything to change a person's life, you know, that get incarcerated, man. I feel is great because you know, if that's the case, they need to do that with a lot of facilities. You know, give these brothers a chance. They probably half of them probably good actors.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, they may be some naturals at it. Eric, what are your thoughts on that? Them continuing that situation?
I mean, you know, I think it's, you know, nothing really different than, you know, it's really interesting that they did that. I think, of course, it's going to be a plus for those gentlemen to now be exposed to a trade, something you can take with you afterwards. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's going to be all thumbs up. It's pretty interesting. I'm kind of curious. I wonder if they thought about that before the movie or before the production of the movie, or even thinking, or was that something that came out of the fact that they were doing the movie and they say, hey, let's you know, let's generate this to do, you know, generate this program so we can follow them at the same time. I'll probably have to look and research that, but overall,
from what I've seen, it looks like it was just simply inspired by what was taking place on the set. And I dare say that Theotis Carter's performance probably led to a lot of that. In other words, I think he was doing so well that they were like, okay, are we missing something here? You know, is there a bigger pool that we may can tap into, et cetera, et cetera.
And it may have been some, you know, with doing the movie, you know, of course they said they're going to have, you know, well-behaved, you know, prisoners that are going to be involved, but even probably saw even more of a change with them being involved in something like this. It's like, hey, if we can continue this, it may have been something that inspired it as well.
Yeah, and if they are smart, you know, America loves a feel-good story. So if they can get some pub off this through production companies or HBO or whatever, you know, because there's a feel-good attached to it, it's some dollar signs attached to that feel-good. H-Rap, what are your thoughts about them continuing that program and actually doing a documentary off the heels of it?
It goes into what CJ said. In other countries, it's about crime and rehabilitation. You break the law, we're going to help you, put you in a situation. I've seen, as CJ stated, I've seen pamphlets, I've seen articles, I've seen small documentaries about the prison system in Europe. And you would think these people are in apartments versus being in a cage, being put in an 8x9 box and stymieing your brain. Now it's arrested development, right? So, and it goes back to something I mentioned on my show last week. Tennessee, just to name 3 states, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Louisiana, they are outlawing slavery. You would think slavery is over, but the 14th Amendment has that but clause. Slavery is illegal, but if you break the law, we can make you do it. Angola prison, sitting on a plantation in Louisiana, one of the largest prisons in the United States of America, sitting on one of the largest plantations in the history of Atlanta. It's a cyclical situation, right? Now you go into the prisons and you realize if we start rehabilitating these young men and putting them in a position so they can move forward in life, you give them options versus putting you in a cage, putting you in a basically animalistic situation where you're in survival. Your development mentally and socially is being arrested along with your physical. Now I'm gonna push you out into the street. Now I'm gonna push you out in the street, and not only am I gonna push you out in the street, you don't have no options. So now you get these young men who've interested in, as Eric said, a trade, something that I don't need it. If I have a horrific background, aka Charles Dutton, dude we know as Rock.
Right.
He was in prison for murder.
Right.
Got out of prison, went to Princeton, and now he's one of the more respected actors in Hollywood. Give people options and they don't go back to crime. You don't give them options and you get what you get in most inner cities in America. And right now the spotlight is on my hometown, Chicago.
Right.
Yeah,
and it'll bring up something that we'll talk about later that I think the film did a good job with a lot of pieces, but I think they dropped the ball on this particular piece, and we'll get into that in just a minute. Now, you remember the film A-Trap that we reviewed, 13th, the documentary on Netflix, right? So that was brought to my remembrance whenever they started talking about the $5 a day for working at the body shop. Okay. And as he was, because again, they had him talking to counselors and social workers and parole officers and stuff, getting ready for his release. And he asked about his money. So that told me that they earned that money, but they weren't given that money until there was time to be released. So if we keep you in here, then it's not only cheap labor, it's free labor. I'll start with you on that, A-Trap. Did you catch that piece of it?
Almost definitely $756 to be exact. What he ended up getting, then they just gift you $100 so you can get up out of town, just in case a family member can't come get you. Get up out of here. So and that's the piece I was just speaking about, slavery. You got people working for Amazon. You got people. Some of these people you be thinking, I'll call this number customer service. I'm talking to somebody from another country. No, you're talking to somebody in prison, and they working for pennies on the hour every day. And that's exactly what those laws I was telling you about, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Mississippi. That's what they're trying to get rid of. If you're gonna have somebody working for you, pay them. Pay them. And guess what? You can also have them pay their way through these houses to recruit instead of it being a burden on the tax dollars. So get these things moving. Again, you also give people a skill set. You give people a skill set. When they walk out the door, they won't come back. A lot of people, like I got homeboys, we used to joke about it. If you out by Easter, you'll be back by by Christmas.
Wow.
So this is what you get. You know what I mean? This is what you get when you're dealing with this. And this is a problem. And CJ hit the nail on the head when he said, in Europe, when you break the law, you get a psychiatric evaluation, you get counseling, and then you get an opportunity. Dude, when you read the pamphlet for going into the prisons in Germany, that was the last one I read, they even give you housing when you get out.
Wow.
So this is a country that's saying, we don't want you in jail.
Right.
But in America, it's big business. It goes from over there, it's crime and rehabilitation. Over here, it's crime and punishment. And you are seeing the results of crime and punishment in this movie. That's why I truly enjoyed it.
Yeah, wow. That's got a lot of meat on that bone. I think y'all all can agree on that, and we could do a show just on that alone.
Right.
Chief,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this? Yeah, I don't know if you saw the 13th film. You generally are tuned in to our shows. I don't know if you saw the Fourcast whenever we did the review of the documentary of the 13th film, but this is not your first time hearing about prison being big business in America.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think about when they talked about the $5 a day for working at the body shop and how they give their money? Did that inspire any thoughts in you? Did that strike a chord with you?
And man, you know, a lot of times the work they get are either the CO cars, I mean, people that know the high
friend
class,
of the warden's
friend of friend,
cars.
yeah, oh yeah. And I mean, you got to do this thing exactly the way it's supposed to be done. If you don't, then they're gonna probably punish you. But for $5, and I understand I'm in jail, you know, and I did something wrong, but no man should have to get pennies for doing hard labor. Like them guys that come outside the jail and cut the grass or do other things, you know, the sheriff be taking them up and down the road, right?
Right. Yeah.
Them guys is on like a thing where they got leisure. Something wrong out there. You got more time added on to you. These are guys almost getting out that comes out like that. You know, their time is almost up.
Yeah.
And that's just like giving them a little appreciation.
Yeah, it's more like a trustee.
Being good.
They're in a trustee status, basically.
Yeah, but I still say that's kind of messed up because they be out there. I seen them out there in my car. It said 100 degrees, and they out there cutting grass in them damn thick ass shirts and pants.
So think about that for a second. So you bring up by you going where you went with this, it makes me think that. But think about about how highly sought after those positions are, though. They even touched on it in the prison where when Jeffrey Wright was getting out, and they knew, hey man, put me down to try to replace you. So even though it's only $5 a day, there were some benefits to the inmates to get positions like that. Because if not, your alternatives are going to be what? The mess hall, you know, you putting KP in the kitchen, you on the laundry detail, you sweeping and mopping floors, cleaning toilets, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that particular position and that particular job, because I guess most inmates have to have a job. Most correctional facilities are going to require you to, unless it's a maximum security and they can't even trust you to be outside of your cell longer than an hour a day. So again, it was people trying to fight to get that $5 a day.
Right.
You know, Eric, so let me talk to you about this. And I'm going to bring in a little politics on this because surely you've heard this being played on the radio locally. And one of the guys, I can't remember who he's running against right now, that's saying it may be Abbott or somebody, but they're going against Beto O'Rourke. And they're saying, because Beto O'Rourke basically quotes from the 13th documentary and is stating that the prison system is basically just an extension of the slavery system. And they're using this as a negative against Beto O'Rourke for saying it, right? The Republicans are. And I'm like, well, I'm not somebody who necessarily am, you know, I don't vote a party ticket straight, right? That's just not how I typically do it, right? It's based on your views and values and whatnot. So I'm like, well, wait a minute now, Republicans. I said, y'all better listen to what he's saying. You may not like him. You may not like the rest of his politics, but on that individual statement that he just made, he telling the truth. So have you heard those, Eric? And how does that tie into this $5 a day nonsense?
Well, I have heard it, and it ties in. Well, slavery is money, and that's all prisons are. I mean, why would you have? I mean, if it's really about correction, even if it's about crime and punishment, you know, then the state or the government would hold on to that. But when you got private prisons, they get to make their own rules and how they're doing things. It's all about making the money. I mean, a lot of things that we purchase and we have and that's out in our society as far as products, I mean, they come from prisons. So at the end of the day, I mean, that's why that's what the 13th Amendment kind of addresses. They want to make sure that we can put you back in there. So it's the proverbial moving the goalposts, changing the rules.
There you go. That's a big statement right there. Don't say that too quick and move on. Moving the goalposts. And for those of you who don't understand a sports analogy, that means you're changing the rules of the game as the game is played.
Right.
You know, we playing Uno, and I'm saying, okay, if you get a draw 4, I can challenge you. But then when you get a draw 4 put on you, you say, but wait a minute, if you challenge me and you're wrong, now this gets to happen. And then that happens. And then you say, well, wait a minute, if you challenge me and this wrong and that happens, then we got to go here. You continue to move the goalpost based on the fact that we're reaching it. And from our society and our culture, isn't that our life story? Hadn't the goalpost been moved on
that
generation to generation, decade to decade?
It doesn't go too far away from the Rosewoods, the Black Wall Street. We're gonna and now I'm gonna get on my soapbox. We're gonna overcome anything.
Yeah.
You give us an inch, we're gonna take a mile, and then we're gonna take the rest of it. If you show us how to do it, we're gonna become the best at it. If you give us a little sliver and you tell us the rules of the game, we will master it. We're gonna overcome you, period. So they have to keep changing it. But the thing is, getting it to a point where, and it's ironic, it points back to Lewis talking to Beecher, saying, man, got to change the game. Even though he was, he ran the prison at a point in time. He was bringing in dough. He was running the show at one point. But you come to realize that, man, it's just not the direction to go, and you can do something else. Which, if we talk about the movie, and that leads into why he made the decisions he made to help guide him out of that. But if we do that on a wider scale, right? If we do that just in our society as a whole, because we all right now, I mean, the things that we do in our community, we always getting about $5. You know what I mean? We don't really get what we deserve. We don't really, they rap. I don't want to. Let me calm myself down before I start a firestorm up in here. But here's the deal: we don't get our just due, and when we do, they find a way to water it down, take it away, or move. Like I said, move the goalpost on us. The thing is to stay, like having forums like this, talking about it, making it understood, doing exactly like Lewis did with Beecher. That you got to pull somebody's coattail and say, okay, here's another direction. Now those prisoners that were in the movie, man, they got a taste and a hint and a smell of something different in the acting, because they don't have to be actors. They can go be they can be on the set. They can put up the set. They can be boom operators. They can be behind the camera. They can help do all those things. Yeah. So those are life-changing things. And though we're kind of laughing at the fact that it's just $5, I mean, that's just another slap in the face. Because think about it. What does it cost to go get your car? Done, man. They'll charge you thousands of dollars for a bumper. You know what I mean? But you can take it into the prison and get it done for nothing if the warden say so.
That's right.
They'll make you cater somebody else's party. And I know this to be true. The warden will say, "Hey, I need you to make this, this, and this because I'm having a party," and we'll have the inmates do that. Then I don't know. They may bring in the food. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. So this is just when we talk about prison movies. Not to go on a tangent, but the thing is, it always comes down to money at the end of the day. So when you talk about the 13th Amendment, just making it like if you were just a vagrant. So if you, and this will explain to people who don't understand that move the goalpost, you're free. Now we're going to make a law. If you don't have a job and you don't have a home, you go to jail. And when you go to jail, you become property of the state. And you have to do what we tell you to do. You just
right.
Same house, painted the walls, move the furniture around.
Yeah. Well, hey, if this is your first time tuning into the Fourcast, one thing that you'll know about us is that the us reviewing movies is simply a means to an end. It is just simply to spark conversation. This ain't your daddy's, this ain't your mama Siskel and Ebert review by any stretch of the imagination, right? We're gonna get some hell, we're gonna get a conspiracy out of King Kong versus Godzilla, man. So I know A-Rap is chomping at the bit about this particular aspect of it. This moving the goalpost. So that has struck a chord with me, and I want you to talk about that a little bit in terms of whether it be just with in our culture and society in general, or as it relates to the prison culture, about how that goalpost is moved on us.
Well, I'll show you a perfect example right off the bat. $5, you don't make $5 a day in prison. That was prison to make 15 cents a day. That's $5 is 62 cents an hour.
Yeah, wow.
So no, that's they moved to go sport. They made it seem they made it cost $5. I don't care how old you are. $5 seem like, okay, that's all right. Do this for me for $5. And you subconsciously go, all right, that ain't that bad. Yeah. So that they already moved the goalpost. And as Eric stated, the 14th Amendment came out, and then they have a restriction under that a year later, loitering. If you look at the books throughout the United States of America, you spoke about moving the goalposts. The 14th Amendment come about. You emancipated African. Okay, cool. Now loitering is illegal. If you look at most of the laws throughout the United States of America, they are tied into us. Every time a law is made, it's because of us. Redlining is because the Reconstruction period from 1863 into 1877, you saw 350 black people go into office. You saw 15 people going to Congress. And they slow down. We got to create laws to stop you from being progressive. So yeah, man, it's just it's the banana in the tailpipe. As soon as you get this car running, I'm gonna slash these bananas in your tailpipe, and the car's still running good, but the fumes on the inside of the car gonna kill you. But we didn't kill you, man. It was the car that killed you. So they are constantly moving like Beto O'Rourke. You know me. I like Texas. I'm one of the few people from outside of Texas that like Texas. Yeah. Well, I haven't allowed people to poison me against the state. Beto O'Rourke is correct, but that's him and Stacey Abrams. They lose traction because they are making sense. When they start saying maybe you don't need a 45 clip gun, maybe you need a 30 clip gun, and now people, they get entrenched in their beliefs versus what might be beneficial. Like my main man, I'm gonna address this tomorrow. My main man, Killer Mike. Killer Mike. When I tell y'all what Killer Mike is supporting, Killer Mike say, I like the current governor because he's a Second Amendment guy. That's your personal thing. That's not a societal benefit. Hey man, I like beer. That don't mean we should make beer legal for 16-year-olds. I've been drinking, I've been sneaking beer since 82 when I was 12. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean let everybody have a beer. So you cannot go along with things that are beneficial to you. So yeah, man, the recidivism rate is insane. It's no develop. Like if prison was truly not like Eric said, they wasn't moving the goalposts. At one point in prison, you could get a college degree. One of the biggest drug dealers in the history of New York, a guy by the name of Guy Fisher. He went into the prison system in 1980s. He got arrested in 77. He was convicted in 82. He got what they call an LWOP, life without possibility. But due to the change in the laws, Dr. Guy Fisher was let out of prison. Just imagine, I had a homeboy, Mario. He went into prison, didn't have a GED, got out with an associate's degree back in the 80s when an associate's degree meant something.
This
means, but see,
now you'll get laughed at if you tell them about you got an associate's degree. They graduate in high school with associate's degrees.
Right. But that's the moving of the goalposts.
Yeah.
I can no longer be educated. I'm in this body shop. I come in ignorant, uneducated, don't know what's going on. I'm just a gangbanger. I get put in this body shop, or as Eric mentioned, I learned how to prepare this food instead of getting a food service certificate or get a body shop certificate or auto mechanic certificate. I just go out naked again because they saw these dudes were getting out of prison and turning their lives around, and the money stops then. Like that man that jumped out that trunk last year, where the money reside. That's where the money reside, in prisons. And in closing, the ultimate moving of the goalposts. In prison, in Kentucky, you can get a barber certificate. You can be a legal barber. But in the same state of Kentucky, it is illegal for a felon to have a barber's license. You talk about move the goalposts.
Wow.
They move the stadium.
Man,
Wow.
that's 52 fake out right
Yeah.
there.
Damn.
Maurice Nesbitt in the building. He goes, "What up, fam?" Theodore Harper, she was agreeing with somebody. Said, "You right." Let's see. Raider Kev had a pretty decent question. I don't know if we have an answer to that. He goes, "Just thought of a question. Do we know what those guys got paid for those parts in the movie?" And I did not get that far in my research to see what they paid them.
I doubt if it was $5.
That's a good question. And Theodora says all about the money. Goldenbrook says, yes, they were fighting to get that $5 a day because it damn sure beats that 50 cents a day working in the kitchen or mopping the day rooms. And Chief, most $3 to $5 a day are lifers, which again supports my point to say, yeah, you're making this $5 a day, but will you ever see it? Because if it's set up to where you can't get until you get out, then it makes sense. We're going to give this to the lifers because the chances of them getting out and not dying in prison are slim to none. So we saying we paying this money so it looks good on paper, but technically we're not really ever having to pay it.
Well, that opens up another question. If you're a lifer, why are we paying you if you're not getting
You get
out?
on your books. You get on your books.
Yeah.
Okay.
But see, that's what I didn't understand. So he was talking about getting a check at the end. So do they really get it?
But maybe that was what was left on his books.
Yeah, that's probably what's left on his books.
Yeah. Okay. Now that makes perfect sense.
More sense.
Because you know what? They give the little bit of money they give you, and then they making money off of you. Then they run the commissary so you can give the little bit of money they're giving you back to them.
Yeah.
They're not giving us nothing.
And how much they charging for a Snickers?
Man.
You know,
How much we pay for a Snickers?
Yeah, but shit, I bet you probably not as much as them. Kirby, what's up? Facebook user says, hello, everyone. I don't know who this is. You got to get Facebook permission to be able to use your name. Chris Chrisman, I ain't seen you in a minute, brother. Good to see you. Says, wow. Okay, so this is, let me ask you something about this. Does anybody know how frequently, because one of the things that stood out to me, I jot down anything that stands out. Cell tossing frequency. Is it just different in every prison? Does it depend on what's going down? Does anybody know about how often prisons will toss their cells?
Send the deck up when they feel like it, man. You a slave.
Because one of the things I thought is that, the fact that, you saw how this brother, they keep their stuff together, right? He's got his books in order. He's got it, his cell is together, right? And so for him to come back from certain little activities or lockdown or whatever the case may be, and having to put his room back together again. So I'm thinking to myself, how often did he have to put his room back together again? Think about the things that have happened in our life, whether it just be simply moving, and how much of a kick in the ass it is to have to put your shit back together again. So it made me wonder, man, I wonder how often they had to put their stuff back together again.
I don't know.
That's like once a week, man. They have, from what I know, I know a brother that's been a correction officer for a long time. He said for what they do is a lot of wardens put implants into different sections of the jail just to see what's going on in that section. Once they report what's going on in that section, boom, check. They had everybody go out in the yard, they check it, tear it down, and when they find what they found, they got who they want. This guy right here gonna be precise who got it, but see, they got to tear it all down because they don't want it to be known that somebody in there snitching on somebody. They make it look like it's routine, but they put somebody, they plant people in there, man. And some guys catch on to it, but a lot of them don't. And the ones that catch on, they usually try to take care of that guy. That guy be in there fighting for his life to try to get somebody to get him out of there,
Right.
Yes, yeah, but it's
Yeah,
rough.
Chief Rocka make a good point. I mean, that was because we saw in the movie they kept coming to Lewis asking him what's going on, what's the deal. He was like, "Man, I'm not doing that." So that definitely sounds like that's a realistic practice.
Right. So that brings me to Jeffrey Wright and being underrated. A-Trap, I want to start with you on this particular thought. So again, I put on there Jeffrey Wright is underrated, and I said even his walk was cold. I don't know if y'all put this brother walk was one that said I was the shit in here.
Yeah.
A-Trap, Jeffrey Wright is being underrated in his performance specifically in this piece.
Well, I jokingly call him the light-skinned Don Cheadle because he is the light-skinned Don Cheadle. And the sad thing is this: instead of looking for abilities and talent, it seems in Hollywood, especially when it's us, they're looking for a prototype. Mm-hmm. Our brother Denzel just happened to fit the prototype.
Right.
6'2", 6'3", nice size brother, very good-looking man. Women love him. Dudes want to be him. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Wright and Don are equal to Denzel Washington in ability and talents. But my man Don Cheadle about 5'9", Jeffrey Wright 5'11". You don't get the opportunities. Another brother that suffers due to his stature is our brother here from Chicago, Larenz Tate. Excellent actor, good-looking brother, but he about 5'8". So you fall short. So Jeffrey Wright is excellent at his craft, but it goes into this perpetual argument that we hear all the time. And people who don't want to rock the boat, they refute it, in my opinion. I'm not gonna call those men and women out. It seems like, I'm gonna say that. It seems like the people who don't want to rock the boat, they pretend that it's all about opportunity and how hard you work. And people who are in the middle or towards the bottom, they call it out, and then they look like they're haters. They always say it's a gatekeeper, and they say it's only opportunities for one brother to shine at a time. And then they mention how it was this one time, it was 3 brothers shining. But if I got a 50-year period, and one brother shine for 10 years, another brother shine for 10 years, another brother shine for 10 years, and in the 40th year, you let 3 brothers shine, and then you go back to one. Come on, man.
Yeah.
We talk about that now we're dealing with semantics. Well, it was that 3 at one time, but we all know it's in the 80s, it was Eddie, in the 90s, it was Denzel, and so forth and so on. It's a cyclical thing. So Jeffrey has never had the opportunities of a Brad Pitt or of a George Clooney, who are of their same size. You don't know George Clooney 5'9". That's
right. And Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise 5'7", 5'5". Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they get multiple. Hey, Tom Cruise on his best day can't stand next to Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah.
He got more opportunities. So
I think that says it all, man. We got Mayhem in the building. What's up, D. Wilkes? And then we also got the gentleman who put the BS in BS3. He says, "What's up, fellas?" And he says Jeffrey Wright is highly underrated. Golden makes a comment that ties back to something I've heard A-Trap say several times. So she goes, "It's random, or if someone snitches on someone having contraband such as wires, razors, etc." So there's a law, A-Trap, I hear you talk about all the time from back in the day, to where if a black guy's or a black person's life is made easier, or excuse me, if they make a white person's life easier, talk to me. I'm butchering that.
That's called that's a social law that's still on the book to this very day past. 1771, Meritos manumission. If you make life easier for a white person, you save a white person's life, when you snitch on the savior for. And what she's just talking, that's exactly what that is. You make it easier for the guards. You saving the guard's life potentially, or you snitching on what's going on, and that is a situation that is inculcated into our DNA, and we don't even acknowledge it. It's just like if you're an alcoholic and you just think you're a social drinker, but we watching you and you like, man, Rap, you done drank a whole bottle, fam. No, I'm partying, man. It's my birthday. And then but next week is Chief Rocka birthday. Then it's Eric's birthday. Then it's your birthday.
Yeah.
Then it's Indigenous Day.
You're right.
Whatever it is, he gonna be on.
Yeah.
Like I always joke and say, hey man, I'm a drunk. I ain't alcoholic. An alcoholic want to drink. I got one. You know, so this whole thing, it's that's why you always hear people become a self-fulfilling prophecy saying we don't trust each other. It's the reason we don't trust each other, and the system makes it so we will never trust each other, because when we in the street, I'm trying to be like Dog. You know, Dog got that slick boat, he got that slick crib, and if I just do some of the things Dog did and X you out instead of pulling you up, I lose. You know, if I pull you up, Dog might pick you instead of me. Now I ain't helping Eric, but that's inculcated into your DNA because you passing it down, because you never acknowledged the trauma. And that trauma is stamped again when you in these damn prisons, because you're going through the same things, and then it's the same situation.
So basically somebody on the inside, you know, they snitch on somebody having some contraband or whatnot, they probably getting a few dollars on their commissary book.
Man, they snitching for cookies, man.
Yeah,
they snitching for ding dongs. They ain't snitching for nothing big. You ain't get no time. You know, like I got homeboys, man, jumping out in the car. I don't understand that. If I'm out here doing crime and you catch me and they, hey, yo, rap, if you snitch on Eric, you ain't gonna get 7 years, you're gonna get 5. Man, I'm finna sit down for that 5, man. Because now I tell you what, I ain't gonna lie to you. If you snitch on Eric and I can go home, Eric might have to go to jail. I ain't finna Eric gonna do 10, I'm gonna do 8. No, we not finna be sellies.
Yeah.
We not finna do this together. It is what it is.
Well, as far as that snitching, man, they snitching on, you know, it's just like anything else. Something that's going to make your life easier. It may, for some, it may be time off a sentence. For some, it may be some extra benefits. For some, it may be, okay, you don't tell me, or protection. It's a wide variety of things, but H-Rap is right, man. That's kind of ingrained. It is definitely a psychological download that dates back to the beginning of slavery. I mean, we talk about, you know, how slaves feel slaves. How slaves are we sick, boss. So the closer the more you help them keep you in your spot, then we get a few that get some extra benefits or something that makes them nice because they're blind to the fact that if you couple with your community, then y'all can have it all. And another element is that we just are really lost on the fact that it is enough. It is enough for everybody. We have individuals who are afraid to see somebody else win because they're afraid that theirs will get taken, or it's not enough for them, and they don't even realize, man, it's plenty. It is plenty for everybody. So I don't know how we can perpetuate that thought. You know, it's just like anything else. You got a bad, you know, Ben can refer to this. If you got a bad virus in the system, or you got a bad programming, you remove that programming, then upload better programming. So that's what Lewis was trying to do with Beecher. That's what we need to do as a community. If we can get back on some type of path and not have to be watching these type of movies in the first damn place.
Yeah. I'm gonna address what Ben said here real quick. We're gonna get a couple of comments and then we'll get on to some a quick point I want to get your comments on, and then we'll go to final thoughts and mic ratings. So Ben said Jeffrey Wright gets some great roles though, but Jeffrey Wright is getting it out the mud. He getting some great roles. He ain't been given no great roles. And so there's some nepotism and some other things that's going on in Hollywood that Jeffrey Wright is not being privy to. So he's getting it, in my estimation, on his raw ability, you know. But, you know, some of the Tom Cruises and, you know, of the world, shit.
Yeah, they getting it. Yeah.
They are given some great roles. Jeffrey
Wright.
And let me ask you this. Is he getting great roles, or is he making those roles great?
Man, I like the latter of what you said.
You know,
because this is the thing about Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright and Denzel, they're great in their own. I would pick Jeffrey Wright over Denzel. I think because Jeffrey Wright is the epitome of what an actor is. Jeffrey Wright will get lost in any. He will take a character and make it. Have y'all seen Shaft?
Peoples.
I'm
Come
Peoples,
on, man.
And you
Come on,
believe
man.
that's what that dude is. Yeah.
Come on, man.
For a while, if I would have saw Jeffrey Wright on the street after that, man, I'd have been like, I'm going on the other side of the street, baby.
Come on,
I ain't
man.
walking by him.
I mean, just think the way he changed his voice. And
Yeah.
then you go to you take another turn. It's a totally different. You go to what is it? Mockingbird, To Catch a Fire, something like that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. What is that movie called?
Catch a Mockingbird.
No, not To Catch a Mockingbird.
You're talking about those to Catch a Jay, Mocking Jay.
Hunger Games.
There you go, Hunger Games.
Hunger
right.
Games.
Oh, I've never seen
The
that.
way that he changes his whole demeanor to be just this very articulate and smart, quiet, docile person. But I mean, he can change, he morphs, which is the epitome of acting.
Yeah.
You will lose. You forget that that's him.
If you've seen him on what's the little sci-fi deal?
Westwood or something.
Westworld.
Yeah.
And so what I'm quietly seeing is HBO is on his jock though. So that's another thing. We got to pay attention to some of these production companies and stuff like that, because apparently, like I said, he's getting a lot of work from HBO. You know.
But see, the difference in that work and the Tom Cruise Denzel work is this.
$20 million.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's not getting those like blockbuster type.
That's right.
Viola Davis speaks about it all the time.
But I don't know, is he a top? I mean, can you see Jeffrey Wright running and jumping off a building?
No, but there's a lot of projects out there that don't require that though, that are just plain. You know, they're just acting roles. You know what I'm saying? It's not all. So in other words, what I'm saying is that all films aren't action films, and all roles don't need to be action roles. So
right,
you don't have to.
But I mean, I'm making a comparison with Tom Cruise and those type of blockbuster type of movies. But I think
how about Tom Hanks? You don't think he could have killed some of the roles?
No, he would. He would actually. Yeah, absolutely. But you talked about the nepotism. Come on now, we know that, man. White people gonna push white people. That's just what it's been.
And that's what I was talking about, Eric. I was using Tom Cruise because when Tom Cruise show up, it's a $20 million. It's his production company because he's made a gazillion dollars because of the roles he's played. When you got a Viola Davis and everybody telling her, you just like Betty Davis, you just like such and such, but we're gonna give you $5 million for this movie that we know you're gonna kill. Jeffrey and Don can't make those movies. Like Denzel has started to make his own movie, Mars Black Bottoms, Fences. He's starting to do it because he's accumulated the money to do it. Our brother Tyler, he's doing it because he's accumulated. Will, he does it. But it's a bunch of guys that's out there that are equal to Jeffrey Wright, equal to Denzel, equal to Don Cheadle, that they never get an opportunity because we keep picking Denzel, we keep picking Jamie, we keep picking Will, when Jeffrey, Don, and
I'll give you an example, A-Trap, to support your point. Amistad, the guy, the African guy that played him, that was his first role. And when I say right now, just thinking about when he said, give us our free, I still get chills and the hair stand up on the back of my neck for him. That dude, for that to be his first role, to do it, to kill it like he did, that supports your theory right there.
Don't give enough credit.
Yeah. To be perfectly honest with you, I have to agree on that. And to be perfectly honest, and I don't want to go into this, but I'm going to make a statement and then I'm going to hit and run this one. I don't even want y'all to comment on it. But quiet as it's kept, white Hollywood respects Forrest Whitaker more than we do. All we do is talk about Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
You ain't hit and run. That was a home run.
Yeah, that was a home run.
That's all we do.
That was a home run.
So real quick, I just want y'all, if you don't have anything to say on this, you don't have to say it, but I just want to say the language that he used, some of the verbiage that they use. Whenever Lewis, which is played by Jeffrey Wright, told Beecher after he had came at him early in the film, he goes, "Come at me again, young blood, I'm going to stretch you." That look at here, when he said that, it's like I'd never heard that terminology, but you knew exactly what the fuck he meant, right? You know, he goes, "I'm gonna stretch it," and just kept walking. That's what was funny to me, right? Then later on, when he wanted to talk to him, he said, and see, I think it was Chief Rocka that says, "Pulling your coattails," or it may have been Eric, I can't remember. Somebody said pulling your coattails. Well, he said, "Let me breathe on you a minute."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let me talk to you, you know. So I dug that, you know. So I thought that was interesting. And then I also thought that they did a good job of illustrating the relationships that develop between staff and inmates that we don't generally talk enough about, right?
Yes.
That we don't think enough about. And when you really think about it, they spending days, weeks, months, years together. A lot of situations, you're spending more time with those correctional officers, or those correctional officers spending more time with the inmates than they spending with their own families. So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. And you could just tell he had pulled the coattail or breathed on was it Devers is his name, the CO. They pulled on his coattail a little bit. You know he didn't help them in some way.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
You know, because they had that relationship. And the good thing about this movie, just real quickly, some of the things they illustrated, like when Lewis, you know, he get to talking to Devers, then he went and just grabbed the pretzels and he was eating them, right?
And just tried to walk out.
He tried to walk out with him. And Devers was like, put him back, and he was like,
leave him.
So you know, there was still that game was we cool, but I'm still gonna try to get you, and you got to watch me. So I thought that was a really interesting thing. And this is the last thing I wanted to make sure we talked about this. Did anybody else hear that part where he found out about when he was talking to this lady, and she was letting Lewis know, "Hey, you know, so and so got fired for that." He said, "No, but he found it too." He said, "Yeah, he kicked him out anyway or whatnot." And it was an inmate back there. "Say, Lewis, that fine ain't woman calling you." Did any guy look at the lady?
No.
Yeah.
She ain't. I got you.
Listen, because fine is something she was not. But, no, it wasn't nothing that could, it wasn't like, I see. It was the body and maybe a face and then none of that was good. And that tickled me because you know, when they locked up that long, they don't care. She fine and him. So I thought that was a realistic little aspect of it. I wondered did they put it in there, or one of the inmates just ad-libbed that or something. Yeah,
probably. And to be perfectly honest with you, that's probably what they say. And fine to them probably meant as long as she got cooch and tits, she's fine. You follow what I'm saying? It don't matter. We ain't got much to choose from.
Let me rewind.
Looks don't mean nothing in that. Shit.
And then I thought another thing, I thought he whooped him quick whenever he fought Youngblood the first time. When I say, you see how quick that OG took him? Yeah, I'm talking about whooped him quick. All right. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get to our
it was dope. You know, because other guys looked, but they just paying attention, but they didn't rush over there. Nobody made a scene. You know, you got to get out of the way real quick after so the guards don't see him make no big deal of it. That was, I mean, I think it was done. A lot of those nuances were well put.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna start with Chief Rocka here. We're gonna give our final thoughts on the film, and we're gonna give our mic ratings. Our mic ratings are between 1 and 5 mics. It's similar to what you may see some other shows give their stars, 1 to 5 stars or whatever. So we use mics here, so 1 to 5 mics. So give me your final thoughts, Chief, and your mic rating, sir.
Well, I mean, it was a semi-top rated show that you had like in jail, because if you go back and look at what 50 Cent made with Life, and then you compare that with this, this was a little more expensive than what 50 did, because 50 was on regular TV, and you got to break that down in series. But as far as this one, It almost was the same to me. I mean, it's almost was the same, but it's just this one is you watch it all the way through. Life, if you miss one, you missed it. You know what I'm saying? But you see this all the way through, and like you said, the inmates and the guards that played in there, they did a hell of a fine job, man. And if I give it 1 to 5 Afro picks, I give it a 5.
You giving it 5?
Yeah.
You giving it the highest rating you can give it?
Yeah, I give it a 5, man. I mean, it was creative.
Okay. All right. Butler, give it to me, homeboy. What's your final thoughts on the film and your mic rating?
My final thoughts is that I thought the film was done well. Jeffrey did an excellent job of carrying the movie and bringing a lot to the role, which definitely helped it overall. I think it was very interesting that it was in a not a very popular or highly talked about area, being in Indiana. I thought that was an interesting aspect of it. I really like the fact that it really pointed at the things that we mentioned, like the relationships between the COs and the inmates. That's not something that's touched on a lot. And the concern with being in so long and then getting out, and that really being an issue. I think we've seen where the old head tries to breathe on the young head. So that wasn't new. And then also having all of the inmates involved, I think was really, really a good touch. And we got some realism in it. So based on those points, I give it four mics.
All right, cool. That'll work. H-Rap, final thoughts and mic rating.
Oh, well, I thought it was an excellent film, man. I like the way she humanized them. She gave you context. The film starts with her giving you context. And then she humanized him. And then she lets you see who he was as a human being. And then she lets you see his circumstance. And then she lets you know how it is. She shows you what institutionalized looks like. Mm-hmm. And then she showed you the dreams of it. And then she let him out. And I really believe that's something that's missing, because in most cases in the world, we look at people who are in those buildings as wrongdoers. Right. And we wag our fingers at these people. Had you not did what you did, you wouldn't be where you are. Instead of saying, you know what? You blew it, man. Yeah. Let's get this right. Mm-hmm. Eric spoke about it earlier, how we don't just lift people up because we believe they're going to take something from us. No, this is an opportunity for us to realize that people who are in these buildings are people at the beginning, middle, and end of it. No matter if you're a murderer,
that's
you're
what's
a person
up, man.
who's killed
That's
someone.
What's up, man.
You're a thief, drug dealer, you're a person.
That's what's
and
up.
She showed the human side of that, and I really appreciate it. And even though I might be extending myself, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 4.5.
Yeah,
because of that.
That's what's up. For me, I'm gonna get this comment before I give mine. Rated Kev says 4 mics, basically because of Jeffrey Wright and his acting. The fact they included inmates, great concept. That actually happens to be exactly where I was gonna go. I was gonna say that I would have been at a 3 if they didn't use inmates and Jeffrey Wright wasn't in this film, right? If you could take those out somehow, I'm at a 3 with the basic concept, right? The fact that you use inmates and prisoners, and guards, real folks in there, that gave you another half a mic. So that put me at a 3.5. Jeff Wright's acting brought it up to a 4. So I'm at a 4 mic, right? One of the things that I really appreciated is the way they, number one, his dream sequences, right? I thought that was impressive to me. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, the way the end was shot, they showed his new outside life. Then they went back because they had you wondering, did he get released or did he not? Was this just another dream? And he actually ended up making a decision that kept him in because he was fearful of going on the outside, so I thought they kept us guessing at the end. And again, so the way the end was shot, they showed him new outside life, then went back to see how his last moments inside were. It caused you to wonder if he was just dreaming or if he really got out. So with me, like I said, I gave it 4 mics. And just as an FYI, IMDb gave it 6.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 89%, which is pretty high for Rotten Tomatoes. and Google users gave it 74%. So if you've not seen OG, I would highly recommend that you go check it out. It's on Netflix. It's worth your time. We invest our times in a lot of other stuff that's a hell of a lot more trash than this. So I would definitely go check it out. And then next week, Ben wanted me to make sure that everybody was aware that next week we are reviewing The Redeem Team. It is a Netflix deal, so why don't you go ahead and watch it to make sure you can kind of keep up with us next week. I'll be out, but we'll have special guest host Al High of the Casual Highlight Podcast and Terry Brown of Cat Talk Wednesday. So join us with that. I have seen some good stuff on The Redeem Team, so I'll be watching it as well. I just won't be in for the review. So again, thank you for tuning in. All of our viewers in the chat room, we appreciate your participation. We appreciate the love that y'all are showing with each other and whatnot. And we will check y'all next week on another episode of The Fourcast. See y'all later.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.